All right, welcome to chapter 3 of Happiness Happier. So we're going to this one's when it starts to get good. This is when we start to use practical application. So he starts off chapter 3 by explaining or by quoting Aristotle that happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. This is the goal, to be happy. It's the highest of the hierarchy of goals, the end towards which all other ends lead. Wealth, fame, admiration, all other goals are subordinate and secondary to happiness. Whether our desires are material or social, they are a means towards one end, to be happy. So, you're going to start off with a quick journal of do the infinitely regressive why exercise. And you're going to do it for something you want. So, especially if you've done Best Life Blueprint already and you know, okay, these are the things that I desire. Why? Why? Do 7 whys if you can. For me, like, I want to start traveling. Why? Well, I want to experience new things. Why? Because I wanted self growth. Why? Because I value learning more about myself. And whatever the thing is, just keep going deeper and deeper and trying to figure out what it is that you're really chasing. And like for me, in a way, it was a matter of freedom, like internal freedom, not just time freedom, but like freedom to pack up and travel one place one day and freedom to sit still for a week if we want to. So notice how many whys it takes for you to reach happiness, whether it's material success or like connection or relationship. Think about why. Okay, pause and do that. All right, now happiness, he goes into some data because the nice thing about the book is there's always a reinforcement of here's the data on it and here's proof. So he has a quote in there that there's numerous studies show that happy individuals are successful across multiple life domains, including marriage, friendship, income, work performance, and health, and that all else being equal, happy people have better relationships, are more likely to thrive at work, and are also live better and longer. I think this is kind of common sense. We all know that being happy would lead us to more success, and more success would mean we're happier. But finding the secret to that is in these 2 words, pleasure and meaning. Happiness has to create an experience of positive emotions, pleasure, right? It has to be like, this is great, this feels good, because emotion creates motion, energy and motion, emotion. It provides us a motive. To be happy, we need the experience of positive emotion. Pleasure is a prerequisite for a fulfilling life. So it's really hard that's why that rat racer is always struggling. Like, I'm going to be happy one day. They're not finding enough pleasure. And the flip side is if we're just constantly searching pleasure without meaning, that leaves us wanting more. And he explains it in the book with numerous different studies about this. But overall, we need a self-generated purpose that has personal significance based on our values and passions rather than one dictated by society. To know that our actions have an actual effect on the world. So finding this sweet spot between what brings us pleasure and what brings us meaning is really the goal of this lesson today. I love this quote. I have it underlined. My husband laughs because it says Victor right next to it, because I used to give him a hard time that his old self, he's not like this at all now, but was so realistic. The idealist is the dreamer, right? They have their eye on the horizon, versus the realist is the pragmatist. Their feet are firmly planted on the ground. But he talks about in the book that to be idealistic is to be realistic. Our true nature is to be a dreamer and a doer. Without a higher purpose, a calling, or an ideal, we cannot attain our full potential for happiness, a sense of purpose that encompasses our life as a whole. So your next pause and reflect, move this out of the way, is what provides you with meaning? What provides you with a sense of purpose to your life as a whole? What daily or weekly activities provide you with meaning? And you can jot down some ideas and pause it real quick, but we're going to finish this lesson with a much more detailed version of this to go into, to really examine your life with a fine-tuned fine-tooth comb. Okay, so potential and happiness. We cannot be happy living simply to just gratify our physical desires. Well, it's nice to have physical desires, and that's just not usually enough for most people. We need something that is genuinely satisfying, that uses our faculties and realization of the world we live in from an internal measure of potential. Okay, I use this as an example all the time. Me as a CFO, when school was really easy to me, I w- went through high school, straight A's, full ride to college. College was super easy for me. I took like almost a double amount of units that you can carry. And I was on the pathway to be either CEO or C. I loved math, loved numbers. So I thought I'm going to be a CFO, big company, only to meet Victor and think like, gosh, I just want to be a mom. I just like being a mom, but I need to work. So why don't we just start a gymnastics business together? Like this will make me so it'll feel like I'm still using my faculties to run a business, and it'll still feel like I'm being productive, I'm useful, I'm using my knowledge, but I'm also really good with kids, and it was going to make me happy to be with my husband at work. So I shifted. Even though I finished getting my business degree and stuff, I didn't go apply to any big businesses or firms. I just went straight to opening my own business at age 20. And it was really that balance for me of, okay, I'm doing something that feels good. It was so satisfying. But I was also getting to have some pleasure out of it, enjoyment, like, wow, it was great. I went to work with my husband, and then my boyfriend. And then also I felt like it really pushed me into my potential. However, it's also the reason I closed that business after 17 years, and probably should have closed it even earlier, is because, or after 19 years, I guess, because it stopped challenging me. And then, there's always something new, whether it's Be the Hero here or something I've been pursuing all my life that makes it feel like it's enjoyable, it's meaningful, and it's challenging me to a healthy degree. In another lesson, we're going to get even more specific into that. So take a moment to ask yourself, what things provide you with satisfaction from within? What pursuits would challenge you and fulfill your potential? Okay, so pause, go write those down, and then we'll go to the next page. All right, success and happiness. The shift from being a rat racer to pursuing happiness is not about working less or with less fervor, but about working as hard or even harder at the right activities, those that are a source of both present and future benefit. Moving from hedonism to happiness isn't about having less fun, rather, it's finding fun that is sustainable. Enjoy the journey while feeling aligned to a purpose you believe in and attains a better outcome. That's the secret. If you have kids and you do some of my homeschooling stuff, or you've heard Gabby Isabel and I talk about homeschooling, like this was a big part of what the kids did in homeschooling is you have all this time, figure out something that you enjoy doing, find a passion that you really like doing, and learn as much as you can about it. Then try to pursue it to the next level, finding these things that are really um, aligned with not only that they'll provide you success down the road, right? This is what Gabby's Young Entrepreneurs also lays the foundation for. So if you have a teen, make sure you sign up for the Young Entrepreneurs, but helping them figure out what's your passion, and how can you take that passion and create a profit out of it? How can you turn it into something that would also make you happy and feel successful? What man needs, this was a quote in his book. Let me move this down. What man needs is not a tensionless state. The goal isn't to like have no stress, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worth of him. What he needs is not the discharge of tension at any cost, but the call of a potential meaning waiting to be fulfilled by him. Right. So Gabby and I talk about, getting Be the Hero started, and it took us a really long time, hundreds of hours of work to try to organize all of our content and do the marketing. Same thing when we created our blog. It's not like it's not like you're trying to avoid stress at all costs, but you're trying to find something worth the effort, something that's going to be worth the views. So remember, Two, that difficult keeps us grateful. Like the goal in life is not to avoid hardships. That's why the message here on Be the Hero is things happen for you, not to you, or looking at obstacles as opportunities. Things that happen that are bad, difficult, hard, stressful, they remind us to not take pleasure for granted, and it helps us stay grounded in gratitude. So, next exercise, think back to a difficult or painful experience you had. What did you learn from it? In what ways did you grow? All right, this is the exercise that changed the game for me. Then I taught it to my kids. Finding the right quantity and quality of your day, of the tasks that you do every day, right? Everybody tells me all the time, I have no time to do that. Oh, I really like hiking, but I have no time. Oh, I really want to work out, but I have no time. Oh, I really want that. So he talks about this idea of the lasagna principle, and that was very simple, that he loved lasagna. And he'd go home, see his mom, and she always made lasagna, and he'd gobble it up. It was so delicious. But just because it was delicious doesn't mean he wanted to eat that every day. And so it's really important for us to find the right activities and then the right quantity for each activity that leads to the highest quality of life. A good example of that is I love to do hikes with the kids. I love to do epic hikes with the kids. But if I'm going to do a 10-mile to a tall peak, I don't want to do that every single day. At some point, my legs get burned out. So finding how often, so a lot of times for our travels, when we have our adventures planned out, we cycle through. It's like, okay, how many of these big hikes do we need to do this summer to feel fulfilled? And maybe in past summers, it was a dozen. Now it's probably down to about a half dozen. Okay, how many crazy rock climbing adventures do we want to go on this summer? Okay, well, we basically got it down to about 5 this year. So finding whatever the thing is for you, but figuring out how much of this do I really want to do? And what's the right amount of time? Like, what are the things and how much time do I want to spend in it? So the mapping your life right here that's blinking to make sure you write this down. Activity, meaning, pleasure, time/week. This is your exercise for the next week or two. You're going to look at your schedule. This was the game changer. This was the thing that I said that I actually did this. And this is what made me pivot and go, oh, wait, why do we live in this expensive house? It brings me very little joy. Why don't we do this instead? I looked at the activities that I spent my day, even if that's opening up emails, running errands, cooking dinner, everything you do, all of your activities. And then write under meaning, a 1 if you have if it brings you no meaning, a 5 if you get a ton of meaning out of it. Under pleasure, same thing. 1 if you get no pleasure out of it, 5 if you get tons of pleasure out of it. And then write down, so you'll probably have to keep track of it day by day and then do a sum total at the end of the week, but write down how much time per week are you spending on that. Now here's where the magic happens. So then you're going to look at it and go, okay, do I want to spend more time doing it? Add 2 pluses. A little more time? Add 1 plus. You want to spend tons less time on it? Put 2 minuses. Just a little less, 1 minus. The more detailed you can get with this, the easier it is going to be to create a life that's happy, because your happiness is going to be a byproduct of twofold. 1, what your day looks like, day in and day out, what it looks like, and 2, the attitude that you bring to it. Some of the bad things that you want to get rid of, you might not be able to get rid of right away, but you can change the attitude you bring towards those things. Okay, so this is your mapping your life exercise, is the big exercise that you're going to do, plus the integrity mirror. I love this one. You're going to make a list of all the things. It doesn't matter if it was on your list, the previous list for mapping your life. This is just make a list of everything that brings you meaning and pleasure, like family. What exactly does that mean? Hiking with your family, watching TV with your family, playing board games with your family, just sitting around the kitchen table, eating with your family. What is it? Is it exercise? Is it charity work? Is it playing an instrument? What is it that brings you meaning and pleasure? How much time would you like to be spending? Not do you right now. What would be the ideal? Okay, so for us for a while, we were hiking, and maybe it was so many hikes in the summer that we were doing 20 hours of hiking. And maybe if I went to go look at my integrity mirror, I'd be like, "God, this is a little bit too much time hiking. Maybe we could cut it down to only 12 hours a week. That's, 2.5 hours a day. Or if we have a big hike, we can just do a big one and smaller. I'd like to do other activities, whatever." It's a good example, but it's probably not realistic for you. What are the things, though, that for you bring you meaning and pleasure? And what would be the ideal? This kind of goes hand in hand with when you write your perfect day. Remember, if you do your perfect day, it's in the mastermind section. Um, you want to, it's not like one day is your perfect day. Like some people might have 6 different perfect days and you're rotating through them, or you're aiming to rotate through them. The biggest thing is that most people are blind to the difference between what we say is important to us and what we actually do. As a coach, I hear this all the time. Most people, they really want something more, but then they justify to me, well, this is why I can't, this is why I don't, instead of just holding the mirror of integrity up and going, why am I not living in alignment with what I'm saying? Okay. Asking yourself, am I living my highest values? Now, if you really want to make progress here, you want to evaluate your habits. What are the habits getting in the way? What are the fears getting in the way? And what are the expectations of others that are getting in the way of this? Because it's probably coming down to one of those. Okay. And those are block chakras. So you will eventually in this section in Be the Hero, hopefully go through the chakra healing course. But we have this tendency through programming to establish or develop certain habits. We have self-limiting beliefs or fears, both from society, from our parents, and just from our soul's wiring that cause us to, not want to look at ourselves with that, like under the microscope and go, why do I say that I want to exercise more when really I have the time, but I just don't do it? Or, why is it that I don't have the time? Is this really something that brings me a lot of value, or have I just not learned how to say no and use my throat chakra? Okay. So the other thing is this might change. You might do this exercise now, save those notes, and a year from now, look back and go, wow, I have changed a lot. I've set way better boundaries and I have a much clearer expectation on what I want my day to look and feel like. Okay. So that's the end of chapter 3. You had those time ins. Hopefully you did that. You're going to do the map your life for the next week or 2. It's going to be just an ongoing thing, but tomorrow we're going to move on to chapter 4 and make sure today that you do the integrity mirror exercise, because that you can start at. You can look right now and go, is this aligning with my values? We have a lot of different exercises. There's also a mastermind in Be the Hero on values. Values that steal versus values that serve would be a nice bonus to go work on too, if you can. So really looking at, am I doing things that are in alignment with my highest values and my highest self? And therefore, that would make me happy because it would be a nice mix, a balance of meaning and pleasure. All right. Thanks, you guys.